Welcome back again. So we are waiting for the next speaker to join, Professor Manoranjan Parida from IIT Roorkee. So I think he'll be there in just in a moment. Thank you. Please stay connected. Ms. Anamika, can you just say hello, just to test your voice if it is coming clear?
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
You're audible, but I think the volume is very, very low on. I think I'm on full volume. Yeah.
So is it better now?
Yeah, it's better, little better.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Uh, I think Professor Parida has joined. Sir, can you just say us hello so that you know, so that we may know that you are connected? So we can't hear you. Yes, sir.
Ankit, can you hear me?
Sir, I can hear you now. Sir, it's your
Okay.
sir. So, sir, a very warm welcome to you, sir. So
Thank
we
you.
have with us Professor Manoranjan Parida from IIT Roorkee. So may I request Ms. Anamika to please introduce our esteemed speaker.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, all. Welcome back. Welcome, Professor Manoranjan Parida. This lecture is on design of overlays for flexible pavement presented by Professor Manoranjan Parida. He joined Civil Engineering Department of IIT Roorkee in 1996 and is presently the Deputy Director at IIT Roorkee. He did his BSc in Civil Engineering discipline from University College of Engineering, Birla, and Planning, that is Urban Planning, from School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi, and PhD from the University of Roorkee. He has been Moth Chair Professor on Development of Highway System in India at IIT Roorkee during 2013 to 2017. He is currently working on an imprint research project, propagation and mitigation model of mixed traffic noise for planning mid-sized Indian cities, design and development of noise barrier for flyovers in Delhi is an innovative contribution by him. He has provided substantial input for third-party quality audit of 1,700 kilometers of state highway in the state of Bihar during 2007 to 2013 under RSVY project. He has provided consultancy for more than 350 road infrastructure projects for urban areas, intercity corridors, rural roads, and expressway. He received Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru Birth Sanitary Award in the year 2004 from Indian Road Congress. He has received Outstanding Teacher Award of IIT Roorkee. He is presently an independent director on the board of Jharkhand Urban Infrastructure Development Company Limited and convener of Urban Roads and Streets Committee, Indian Road Congress, New Delhi. Thank you, sir, for agreeing to deliver this lecture. Please welcome Professor Manoranjan Parida. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anamika. So can I share my screen?
Yes, sir.
So can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Sir, but if you can just full screen it, that would be good.
Yeah, I'm just putting it.
Yes, sir. We can see it now, sir.
Okay, just okay. So like it's good to go, and I am clearly audible. Ankit?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very, very clear.
Okay. So maybe we need to close say 10 minutes before 4. But yes, first I'll make a presentation. Means what we can do is that typically say after 3:15 we can have a small break for discussion in
Okay, sir.
between. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So I have scheduled my presentation in 2 parts. The title of this presentation is Design of Overlays for Flexible Payments. It's using IRC 81 1997. This is also known as the Benkelman beam deflection test. Other than Benkelman beam, you can use a falling weight deflectometer. So my lecture, I'm not going to really cover that. I'm just going to cover the Benkelman beam deflection based overlay design. And I have one small case study from Noida. I have done a project for Noida where the basic emphasis was on a BVD test. So I'll be explaining details of that particular case study. Maybe in the audience, you people are already familiar with this particular, say, nomogram or chart. In fact, in IRC document, you can see these nomograms, and they were very useful before the computer was in use, before the mobile was used. So it's a very simplistic representation and very handy tool for the field engineers. Like this one is primarily the overlay thickness design curve, which is there in IRC 81 1997. Here you can see, like if I just try to explain what is it, uh, on the x-axis you have characteristics deflection. The unit is in millimeter, and you have different curves. So these different curves, they correspond to different million standard axle. The first curve at the lowest portion is for a standard million axle of 0.1, and the last one is for 100 MSA, 100 million standard axles. And then the most critical part is the y-axis. On the y-axis, that is the outcome of the entire exercise. It is the bituminous macadam overlay in millimeter. All our bituminous roads or any kind of road network, they will require periodic maintenance. After certain period of time, depending on their structural health, there is a need for strengthening. So especially for the bituminous pavements, the strengthening is determined on the basis of their current strength, on the basis of pavement evaluation technique. Benkelman beam deflection is a very simplified technique, and in this particular curve, you get the characteristics deflection from Benkelman beam deflection test. And then million standard axles, this you are going to calculate on the basis of the traffic data, on the basis of axle load spectrum. And finally, what the field engineer is interested, what is going to be the thickness of overlay. So here the output is available in terms of bituminous macadam, although in real life it could be DBM, it could be STBC. So it has to be converted into equivalent layers of wearing course, for which the conversion is available in this particular code. So that is briefly what we do in the process of the design of overlays using IRC 81. So just if you just look at this, if it represents the different layers of your flexible pavement. You start with the subgrade, then you have an existing pavement, and depending on the functional and the structural condition of the pavement, it will require some sort of overlays. And right now we are just looking at that through Benkelman beam deflection test, how we can determine what is the quantum of overlay. In fact, the method provides you like what is the optimal requirement. In fact, many city authorities would like to make a provision for the next 5 years. Some would like to make provision for next 10 years. Especially in case of Delhi, the major overlays were done in the period of 2010 to 2012, that is immediately after the Commonwealth Games. And currently, almost after 8 years, they are again looking at understanding the current condition of the payment. Lastly, they are resorting to this Benkelman beam deflection test, and on that basis they are determining what is going to be the overlay which need to be provided on these flexible payments, on these bituminous payments. So this is the document IRC 81 1997. Maybe many of you, I can find out, like I know some of the attendees, you must be familiar with this particular document. This is guidelines for strengthening of flexible road pavements using Benkelman beam deflection technique. In fact, if you are following any kind of textbook, the book by Professor Khanna, Justo, and Professor Bir Raghavan has a chapter on these design of overlays for flexible pavement, which is largely confined to this IRC 81 1997. And especially if you are designing a flexible pavement, IRC 37 2018, as part of this faculty development program under this AICT Training and Learning Academy, you have undergone, I mean, you have attended many lectures, and I think there must have been reference to IRC 37, which is used for the design of flexible pavement. And you have another IRC code, I referred to this, IRC 115. It is the guidelines for structural evaluation and strengthening of flexible road pavement using a falling weight deflectometer, which is also in practice as well, although FWD is quite popular for evaluation of airfield pavements. And in FWD, you have two variants. One is a lightweight falling weight deflectometer, a vehicle mounted. The lightweight falling weight deflectometer is one which is portable. You can carry it and move from one place to another. So there has been instances of usage of both of these, but currently FWD is seen more and more, especially for the high volume network, like 4-lane, 6-lane divided national highway network, expressways. Slowly, people are moving towards the falling weight deflectometer based pavement evaluation and the design of overlays. So while you design these overlays, these are going to be the basic steps. First, you need to select a design period. I'll come back to this later on. Then you need to project the commercial traffic, that is number of commercial vehicles per day for the design period. Then you have to estimate cumulative standard axle load repetitions for the design period. This could be 5 years or 10 years. So depending on the design period, you need to project your traffic, and you need to convert the traffic into million standard axles, which is possible on the basis of an axle load spectrum study. And this particular term is known as NS, and many of we might be familiar with the term MSA, million standard axles. Then selection of characteristics rebound deflection, DC, for the existing pavement. So DC value we get out of the Benkelman beam test, and then you use the particular curve, the overlay design curve, which we discussed. Once you have the NS value and the DC value, you can determine the overlay thickness requirement. So this is basically a graphical presentation of design of overlays. So here there are two different verticals. The first vertical you can see, which is primarily the pavement evaluation. So field surveys using Benkelman beam apparatus. So deflection measurement, the testing protocol is defined in IRC 81 1997. You have to compute the rebound deflection. This is capital D in millimeter. Then depending on the temperature of measurement, you apply the temperature correction depending on rainfall and soil conditions. Then you have to apply the seasonal variation correction. So these are basically on the left side, you go through the pavement evaluation and the outcome is going to be the DC, that is the characteristics deflection. On the right hand side, you can see the basic effort is towards calculating the cumulative standard axle load, NS, most popularly known as NS. The unit of NS is a million standard axle. So first you need to choose a period traffic for the design period. So it's a matter of economy, it's a matter of funds available with the particular agency. Some of the city roads would like to go for 5 years. Some of the city roads would like to go for 10 years. So if you are doing any project or if you are taking up any study on design of overlays, sometimes it's a good idea to provide two alternatives. First one is like you do a projection for the 5 years and the other one is for a period of 10 years. You need to define a traffic growth rate, and it is going to be very, very challenging, especially for the urban network to establish the traffic growth rate, because you do not have the disaggregate traffic data available. Like for these overlay studies are done for relatively smaller networks, say 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers stretch, and you don't have very accurate time series data on the basis of which you can do the predictions. And many people would use the traffic growth rate, which is prevailing for the city as the traffic growth rate on the network, which may not be always correct. In fact, cities which are mature they have lesser growth rate. Like some of the IRC document, it makes a recommendation for a traffic growth rate of 7.5%. But for large metropolitan cities, if you are using the data of 7.5% as traffic growth rate, probably you are going to overestimate, you are going to inflate the data on a higher side. Then defining design life, then you compute the vehicle damage factor, which is possible on the basis of a axle load spectrum study. And then you need to also understand what is the lane distribution factor. So here only one point I would like to make, like the left side is basically the pavement evaluation and the right side are traffic parameters. Whether you do a pavement design or whether you undertake any study with respect to pavement, traffic is equally important. So you can see that the right hand side, the right vertical is entirely oriented towards traffic. And yes, ultimately, once you have estimated DC, you have estimated NS, then by using these two, you look at the overlay thickness design curve, and you can estimate the thickness of the bituminous layers. So here, this is some more estimations, some details of the traffic parameters. The projection here is going to be the projections of the commercial vehicle, and commercial vehicle is defined as that particular vehicle which has a laden weight of 3 tons or more. Then the traffic is considered in both the directions in case of 2-lane roads and in the direction of heavier traffic in case of multi-lane divided facilities. And for urban roads, 3 days count is sufficient. Normally you go for 3 days weekday traffic count and take its average, or you generate the commercial vehicles per day for the 3 days average. And for non-urban national highways, expressways, you need to go for a 7 days, 24 hours classified count. And from that, the design parameter which is extracted is commercial vehicles per day. Then coming back to traffic growth rate, especially like for regional network, traffic growth rate is straightforward. But for urban roads, what is going to be the traffic growth rate is a big question, because for a limited overlay study, it's not possible to carry out simulation or to undertake any 4-stage comprehensive traffic transport planning. If you have some past data, some past trend, probably that is going to be useful. But invariably for urban road network, it's very difficult to have access to the past disaggregate traffic data on the basis of which it's possible to make projections. Then a small comment on design life. As I suggested, it's a good idea if you are especially developing a maintenance study, you can develop two perspectives. One is projections for the 5 years and projections for the 10 years. And depending on the budget, depending on the availability of the funds, the particular agency can decide which is the best way to go. Now, for the calculation of vehicle damage factor, in fact, you need axle load data. You need the weight of all the individual axles of the commercial vehicle. And here is the damaging effect is governed by the fourth power law. It is like actual weight of the axle divided by standard weight of the axle to the power 4. So this fourth power law governs the calculation of vehicle damage factor. And on the bottom right hand side, you can see indicative vehicle damage factor values. In fact, for different kind of terrain conditions, the values are available. In fact, I'm sorry, it could not be properly presented. The values are available for the plain terrain, rolling terrain, and hilly terrain. And depending on the initial traffic value, the VDF values are provided available in IRC 81 depending on the different ranges of commercial vehicles per day. The initial range is 0 to 150 CVPD. Then next is 150 to 1500 and more than 1500. So these values are available in IRC 81. So if you are not doing any axle load spectrum study, in that particular condition, you can use these default values which is available in the IRC code. So now these are a couple of pictures of how to undertake the axle load spectrum study. Axle load spectrum study is basically measuring the weight of all the individual axles. So measuring understanding the weights of axle by axle. One is that you can have a portable weigh bridge. On the top, you can see the portable weigh bridge, which is installed on the highway. And with the help of police, you can actually stop the commercial vehicles. And you can try to find out the weights of the different axles. So axle by axle, all the weight data is available. And then you can carry out analysis of these axle weights to get this vehicle damage factor. So I have taken these pictures from Central Road Research Institute. CRI has been very active with respect to different pavement evaluation technique studies, and they also undertake a lot of axle load spectrum study. The right hand side, you can see the study being going on in National Highway in Pune district. So this one is from PaveTech Consultants, Pune. Then these could be like different possible configurations of the axle loads for different kinds of vehicles. And then how do you calculate? In fact, they will all depend on what is the permissible axle load. And on the basis of that, the vehicle damage factors can be calculated. One very important traffic parameter for these overlay design studies is lane distribution factor. The lane distribution factor depends on single lane road, what kind of road it is. Like here you can see you have different configurations: single lane road, 2-lane single lane carriageway road, 4-lane single lane carriageway road, and dual carriageway roads. For all these, the lane distribution factors are available, which goes into the calculation of million standard axles. Now, NS, the design traffic, like the traffic for the design year, is calculated in this way, which is very similar to the calculation with respect to the NS in the IRC 37. So NS is the cumulative standard axles to be catered for in the design. So here, capital A is the initial traffic after completion of constructions, and it is in terms of commercial vehicles per day. So it takes into account all the commercial vehicles. It excludes definitely cars and other non-commercial vehicles. So R is equal to annual growth rate of commercial traffic for that particular stretch of the road or for the particular area where you are going to undertake this study. N is equal to the design life in years. So there are options that normally either you can do it for 5 years or 10 years. Capital F is the vehicle damage factor. If you have a axle load spectrum study, from that you can actually calculate F, or otherwise you can take the default value of the F from the IRC 81, and capital D is the lane distribution factor. So depending on the geometry or the configuration of the particular network, you can use the value of D. Now we look at IRC 81 1997, which defines the test procedure. It's basically it's known as pavement condition survey. So this survey usually precedes the actual deflection measurement, which consists primarily of visual observations and rod depth measurement. So you have a straight edge by which you can measure the rod depth. So based on these, the road length shall be classified into sections of equal performance, preferably of minimum 1 kilometer length section. So the entire study network has to be divided into homogeneous sections. So here, if you look at the lowermost portion, the pro forma, which is available for the visual survey. So it starts with the name of the road, section, number of traffic lanes, then date of survey, traffic intensity, annual rainfall, then subgrade soil type, then the informations which are collected, like details of the section, then if it's a embankment section, height of the embankment, then pavement condition, and then the other informations about the different layers of the pavement, like what is the surface type, and I mean what material is there in the surface and what is the thickness. So what is the base layer, the type and the thickness, the subbase type and thickness, then what type of shoulder, depth of water table, drainage conditions, and any remark from the side of the analyst. Now, a Benkelman beam is a very, very standard apparatus. If we quickly look at it, this is how a Benkelman beam apparatus looks like. The front the front end of the Benkelman beam is known as a probe point. Then this is the probe arm. Then you have a pivot, right? Then you have two legs. This is the front leg and this is the rear leg. And there is a dial gauge through which you get these readings. The deflection readings are essentially recorded through dial gauge. And the geometry of the beam is standardized. So that's how the entire procedure is standardized. And sometimes you can also have access to a digital dial gauge where it's possible to do the recordings digitally. So now Benkelman beam as an equipment, the different geometry and all these details are provided. And normally if you're purchasing a Benkelman beam, you get a standard Benkelman beam with all the above geometry. Then the particular truck, in fact, you require a loaded truck for a Benkelman beam. So the rear axle load is going to be 8170 kg. And you need to maintain a tire pressure of 5.6 kg per centimeter square. Then in terms of tolerance for the load, you have plus or minus 1% and tire pressure plus or minus 5%. So you need to also have a tire pressure measuring device and a thermometer which can measure the pavement temperature 0 to 100 degrees centigrade. You need a mandrel for making a hole in the pavement to measure temperature. You need to reach to a depth of 4.5 centimeter. And these are the dia, especially the top dia is 1.25 centimeter and bottom dia is 1 centimeter. You apply glycerin. Through glycerin, you can measure the temperature of the pavement. So this is essentially for applying the temperature correction. And the Benkelman beam apparatus is used for measuring the surface deflection. So you have a loaded truck and you will be placing the beam behind the loaded truck. And we believe that because of the loaded truck, because of the axle, there is going to be a deflection. And once the truck moves away, the pavement is going to bounce back. So in this Benkelman beam, 3 sets of readings you are going to measuring, so which are essentially the rebound deflections. Now these are a couple of photographs like how the Benkelman beam is placed between a pair of tires. So here you can see Like this is the probe of the McLennan beam, which is inserted between a pair of tires. And the location of the test points. So this is, you have to mark 10 number of points at equal distance on pavement surface in the outer wheel path of the traffic lane. So the interval between these points are going to be less than 50 meters. In urban areas, we choose these points coinciding with the electric poles, because normally the electric poles are at the distance of say 30 meter. So if you can choose your each of the point coinciding with the electric pole, then you can maintain a distance of 50 meters between two consecutive test points. So one is that how to mark these points in the longitudinal direction. The other thing is that the location of these test points from the edge. Like in this case, if you see, capital W is the width of the carriageways, and X is the location of the point with respect to the outer edge. So if it's a single lane road, then X is equal to 60 centimeter. So depending on this lane configuration, the value of X will be changing. Now, this is one case, like if you have a 2-lane road for W more than 3.5 meter, X is equal to 9 centimeters. Like these points in the longitudinal direction will have a lateral separation of 90 centimeter from the edge of the pavement. Then for 4-lane divided road, the location of these points are going to be X is equal to 150 centimeter. If you look at the diagram below, it's a 4-lane divided facility. And you can see that these test points in the two adjoining lanes are really staggered. They do not fall in one line. You can see the points like in the inner lane is exactly at the center with respect to the two consecutive points in the outer lane. So these test points needs to be located in a very, very staggered manner if it's going to be a divided facility. So there are two methods of pavement evaluation with respect to design of overlays. So one is the WASU method, Western American State Highway Officials method. So the other one is CGRA method, Canadian Good Roads Association method, and IRC 81 has adopted the CGRA procedure. And in both the methods, what is different is the movement of the trucks. In IRC method, the CGRA method, the truck moves ahead and you make 3 readings. First, like over the test point, you have the rear wheel, and that is the initial deflection. Then the truck moves for a distance of 2.7 meter with respect to the initial position. So that's the second reading. And then again, it moves 9 meter away from the original position. So that's the final deflection. So you have 3 sets of deflection. By using these 3 sets of deflection, one calculates the characteristics deflection. So as a procedure, it is very clearly like documented here. The point on the pavement to be tested is selected and marked as discussed in the previous slides. It is very, very important, like how you pick up these test locations. So if it's a divided facility, if it's a undivided facility, single lane, 2-lane road. So IRC 81 provides you the details of marking these test points. Then you need to bring a standard truck, which is driven parallel to the edge and supported such that the outer side of the rear dual wheel is centrally placed over the first point for deflection measurement. And as I said, you will be getting 3 sets of deflection. Initial is D0. And once the truck is driven a distance of 2.7 meters, you get the reading DI. And after it has moved 9 meters, you get the final reading of DA. And then from the dial gauge, you get all these deflection readings. Then you need to record pavement temperature at every hour and check tire pressure at 2 to 3 hours intervals. So this is basically a schematic representation. You can see the first configuration is with respect to initial reading D0. Once the rear wheel has moved a distance of 2.7 meter away from the original position, you get intermediate reading DI, and after this rear wheel has moved a distance of say next 9 meters, you get the final reading of DF. So these three deflection values are going to be useful for calculating the characteristics deflection. Now we can have a look at the proforma, which is used for recording all this deflection and all the associated readings in the pavement evaluation. So here you can see serial number, then location of test points, then pavement temperature, type of soil, and plasticity index, moisture content in percentage. Then these are the dial gauge readings, initial, intermediate, final, and then you can calculate the rebound deflection in millimeter. So you can look at the top, which is basically date and time of observation, climatic conditions, hot, humid, and cold, then air temperature, annual rainfall. Then you need to decide whether temperature correction is to be applied, whether correction for seasonal variation to be applied. So that's how you do a documentation of the complete pavement evaluation study. Now, these are the calculations on the basis of Canadian Good Roads Association method. First, you check the difference between the DF minus DI. That's the initial deflect, the difference between the final deflection and the initial deflection. So the first condition, DF minus DI less than or equal to 0.025 mm. Then the rebound deflection is calculated in this way. Capital D is equal to twice DF minus D0. If DF minus DI is greater than 0.025, you will calculate the rebound deflection by the second equation, where you have one more parameter, which is K. K is equal to 2.91. It essentially depends on the geometric configuration of the Benkelman beam, which is used with the standardized Benkelman beam, which is used or recommended in IRC 81. K is equal to 2.91. And this term DF minus D0 is apparent pavement deflection. Now, correction for temperature variation. The default temperature is 35 degrees centigrade, and anything over or less than this, you need to apply the temperature correction. So if the deflection measurements are taken at any other temperature, means other than 35 degrees centigrade, the deflection values are corrected by using correction factor of 0.01 millimeter per degree centigrade. And the correction is positive for pavement temperature lower than 35 degree and negative for pavement temperature higher than 35 degree. Like here we see, if your recorded temperature is 37 degree, then it is going to be, the correction is going to be negative here in this case. 35 minus 37 into 0.01, that is 0.01 mm per degree Celsius. Then you have corrections for seasonal variation. So you need to identify the type of the subgrade soil. You could have three categories of the soils and the type of the rainfall data. On the basis of that, like you have these 6 charts which are given in the IRC 81 for the seasonal variation. Now you'll calculate the characteristics deflection. So here you can see that you have calculated D, which is the rebound deflection, apply the temperature correction, which is plus or minus, and seasonal correction factor is going to be in a multiplicative format. So that gives you the corrected deflection value. Now you need to carry out very simple statistics. You find out the mean deflection, you find out the standard deviation, and then by using the mean and the standard deviation, it's possible to find characteristics deflection DC. So here characteristics deflection DC is equal to characteristics deflection is mean plus twice sigma for major arterial roads. For major arterial roads like National Highway and SS, and characteristic deflection is mean plus 1 standard deviation for all other roads. So that's how now we are again back to this particular overlay design curve, and you can find out the characteristics deflection, which is an input on the x-axis. Then you have calculated NS, the million standard axles. So with this, it is possible to determine the thickness of the overlays in terms of BM layer in millimeter. So this is the finishing point of design of the overlays. This particular chart, in fact, as I said, these design charts are very, very handy with field engineers. They are also known as nomograms. And as I said before, you had the mobile apps or the simple devices. These charts were the most elementary devices and very handy for the field professionals. Then like in real life, your top layer is not going to be in terms of bituminous macadam. It could be like STC, semi-dense concrete. It could be DBM. It could be asphaltic concrete. So then we need to go in terms of equivalence of different layer material. So here you can see that 1 centimeter of BM is equal to 1.5 centimeter of WBM or WMM or BUSC. Then 1 centimeter of BM in terms of the surface layer, it is 0.7 centimeter of DBM or asphaltic concrete or semi-dense concrete. So it is possible to convert the BM into the desired layer through which you would like to undertake the overlays. And recommended minimum thickness of overlay is equal to 50 mm BM with additional surfacing course of 50 mm DBM or 40 mm BC. So where structural deficiency is not indicated from deflection values, thin surfacing may be provided to improve the riding quality as required. In Delhi, micro surfacing as thin surfacing has been provided in many locations. So before implementing the overlays, the existing surface shall be corrected and brought to proper profile by filling the cracks, potholes, rods, and undulation. So that is known as profile correction. In fact, roads which are in damaged conditions, roads with prominent undulations, it's a good idea to undertake this course correction or undertake this leveling activity before you undertake any kind of, say, overlaying on this. So I'd like to take a small break here. We can have a small discussion before we move into the next part.
Maybe I can request the audience if they have any question, any query, they can raise their hand, and then I'll request the host to unmute you. Or
Yeah.
maybe if they can, you can also type in the chat box here, and I'll raise that question to the speaker. So we can wait for just a minute or two, maybe for them to ask question.
Yeah, no problem.
So there is one question from Mr. Vinod Kumar.
Mm-hmm.
He's asking that what should be the grade mixing for each layer of WBM? I don't know if it's
Mm-hmm. It's Vinod, if you can speak.
Sir, we'll unmute Vinod once.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Mr. Vinod is there. Yeah, we have unmuted.
Vinod, if you can explain a little bit, that will be better. Like our focus here is primarily on the overlay design. I can say that, but you can explain the point you want to make.
Okay, I think He's not switching on his mic.
Mhm.
Maybe since if this question is maybe not relevant, we can move to the next question, sir, if that's the case.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sir, next question is from Mr. Arun.
Mhm.
So he says that, sir, why we are using truck having axle load of 8170 kg,
Mhm.
although the legal axle load has revised, but in overlay design we are taking 8170 kg.
Yeah, so I can say that it depends on the legal axle load, and probably the code has not been revised. IRC 81 is of 1997. So yeah, as I discussed in the initial stages, you can do the calculation, like you can calculate the VDF. I say you do a axle load study. So instead of 8170, you can use 10.2 tons. So whatever is the permissible load, with that you can do the calculation. Means, as I said, there are two ways, two paths for choosing the vehicle damage factor. One is the default value, which is there in the IRC code. And the other one is that you do the calculation with respect to the fourth power law. So it is simple. Fourth power law is in the sense that you record the individual vehicle weights divided by the permissible axle load. Means that's what I can say, that you can do your calculation on the basis of the revised, say, axle limit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are no other questions in chat box, but I'm just looking if someone has raised their hand. I'm just looking the list.
Yeah.
No, sir. I think.
So largely the class is, especially they're all faculty members in different engineering colleges.
Yes, sir. So you're asking to me, sir.
Yeah.
So
I'm asking.
majorly they are master students, PhD students, and faculties from different colleges across India.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's good. And I hope most of them, they must be having access to the standard textbook, the book of like Professor Khanna Justo and Professor B. Raghavan.
Well, sir, I hope so.
Uh-huh. Which we can suggest them as a resource. My point is that in the edited version, especially in the recent edition where the book was revised by Professor B. Raghavan, there is a chapter on this design of overlays by using IRC 81, and it has lot of say, small numericals, and they will be very useful, especially for people, those who have interest in design of overlays for flexible payments.
Right, sir.
Yeah, so that's like one small point. So yes, I mean, those who want to teach it as part of their undergraduate course, I mean, see, usually it's a good idea to include it as part of the core transportation engineering subject, and at least expose the student to the Benkelman beam deflection method and the calculation of design of overlays. Okay.
Right, sir.
So that's from my side. And if there are no questions, we can move to the next part.
I think, sir, as of now, there are no questions because nothing is there in the chat box as of now.
Yeah. So at least while I mean, so you share the details of resource material they need to look at, definitely we make a suggestion that they can look at the highway engineering by Khanna Justo and B. Raghavan, the specific chapter on design of overlays.
Sure, sir.
Okay, Ankit, thank you. Now I'll move to the next part. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. Is my screen visible? Slide 32.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. Yeah. So next part is basically one small example. I know it's very straight. It's not very difficult. So this is a small numerical problem. Like we have many of the faculty members and they need to teach it in the class. So from that particular perspective, I have tried to bring in this small numerical. This is a 2-lane undivided national highway. Subgrade is with sandy soil and annual rainfall less than 1300 millimeter. Existing traffic, design period, traffic growth, vehicle damage factor, then pavement temperature during deflection measurement, and then the single readings of dial gas. So all these inputs are available, and there are 11 sets of data points, D0, then intermediate deflection and final deflection. D0 is the starting deflection. So for all 11 data points, these deflections are available. Now, if they are tabulated, it looks like this. So you can calculate DI minus TF, then D0 minus TF, and you can calculate the value of D. Then you need to apply temperature correction, then seasonal correction. You have to calculate corrected deflection. Then from corrected deflection, you can calculate mean value, standard deviation of the deflection, and then you can calculate DC. And when you have to calculate D, you need to check different logical checks, which was given in this particular presentation. So you can see the temperature corrections, because the temperature is higher, so it's going to be a negative correction. Seasonal correction is going to be multiplicative. This is 1.03. And now the corrected deflection looks like this, from which you can calculate the mean value, the standard deviation, and the characteristic deflection. In this case, being a national highway, it's going to be x bar plus twice sigma. So it is 1.067 millimeter. The second is calculation of NS, cumulative number of standard axles. So all the inputs like initial commercial vehicle per day, growth rate 0.07, design life of 10 years, vehicle damage factor of 4.5, and lane distribution factor to be taken in this case is 0.75. So NS comes to be 85.1 MSA. Okay, so now this is the overlay design chart, and we can see the characteristics deflection DC is somewhere close to 2. It's in between 1 and 2. The characteristics deflection is 1.067, and NS is 85 point. So this is the value with respect to 1.067, and then you need to draw a curve, because you don't have a curve corresponding to 85 MSA. So you need to interpolate the curve in between 20 and 100. So on the basis of that, now you get the thickness of overlay as 200 millimeter of BM. So this 200 millimeter of bituminous macadam can be split into parts like if you are providing a 50 mm of DBM, 40 mm BC or 50 mm DBM, then 150 mm to 250 mm WMM. So in terms of these two layers, this 200 mm thickness of bituminous macadam is going to be provided. I'll be moving to the next PPT. So just allow me a little break.
Sure, sir.
Ankit, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
And what about my screen?
Sir, no, screen is not there.
Okay, okay,
You have to share it.
okay. Yeah, okay. Huh? Mhm. Okay, I need to share my screen. Is the screen visible right
Yes,
now?
sir. Yes, sir,
Okay.
it is visible.
Okay, that's fine. So this is basically one consulting project which I had taken for Noida Authority. So in this particular project, they tried to develop a database for uh, the road network, which is like some 60 kilometer of road network in Noida. Noida is a city adjoining Delhi. So they wanted to have database with respect to the truss thickness, then camber, riding quality, drainage, existing traffic intensity, and also one of the main objective was to understand the thickness of the overlays. Okay. Ankit, hope it's moving. It has moved to the next slide.
Yes, sir, it has moved to the next slide.
Yes, yeah. So this is the title of the project, like creation of data bank for main roads regarding the pavement truss thickness, camber, riding quality, drainage, and traffic intensity. So there were 21 road sections making total length of 60 kilometers. So one of the idea was to assess the structural conditions of the pavements and suitable recommendations. So the cross thickness was like measured through digging pits only. It's possible to understand the configurations of the different layers through these test pits. Then camber and cross-section details were collected through total station and riding quality measurement by bump integrator. And structural evaluation of these roads were carried out by Benkelman beam deflection test. Then traffic volume studies were carried out for 72 hours at each of the counting locations. Now, these are the details of the test pit. The test pit is in fact very, very useful sometimes to understand the thickness of different layers. And camber and cross sections, as we have said, like on the basis of using total stations, these details were collected. So you can see actually digging of test pit in progress and measuring the layers, the layer thickness. In fact, in urban roads, sometimes you see that the thickness of the bituminous layer is very, very significant. Maybe there is not a requirement for any additional layer of bituminous layer. I mean, things which can be managed easily by a thin surfacing, but still people would like to go for very rich bituminous layers, even though there is no need for the same. These are the photographs for collections of soil sample for CBR test. Then through total stations, the study is going on. So now this is, we have discussed about the Benkelman beam deflection test. I am not going to repeat it. And the deflection measurements were taken as per CGRA procedure because that's the one which is documented in IRC 81. So this is the Benkelman beam study which is taking place, especially as I said in urban roads. If you are doing Benkelman beam deflection study, if you look at the street lights, invariably they are equally spaced, spaced at an interval of 30 meters. So that spacing is very, very handy. Then all 21 road sections, we undertook a 72 hours count at each of the locations. They were done at that point of time, manual studies. Then drainage was also included as part of this particular project. So the conditions of the existing drainage facilities were understood. Now, on the basis of the road cross sections, it was felt that some of the cross sections, there were undulations or it was essential for undertaking the level corrections. So for those like roads, level corrections have been recommended. And then on the basis of Benkelman beam deflection test, which we have discussed earlier, and using these design curves for all the 21 roads, uh, the proposed improvement after profile corrections have been recommended. So these are like the name of the road in the second column, then the length in meters, like approximate length. And then on the basis of Benkelman beam deflection, the maintenance recommendations, you can see that the recommendation, they vary from road to road, like road number 2, it's 50 mm dBm plus 40 mm dBc. Then road number 3, 50 mm dBm plus 40 mm dBc. So for all the 21 road networks, it was possible to work out the thickness, the overlay thickness. And in fact, these overlays were undertaken at least immediately after the study. So I can say that Benkelman beam is a very simplified kind of a method. And at least for the last 40 years, this is being used profusely for both non-urban and urban areas. At least since 2000 to 2020, we have undertaken a lot of studies in the urban roads in Delhi. The field engineers are quite comfortable, very easy to implement kind of methodology, and it provides you a very optimal recommendation with respect to the overlays which needs to be provided. Having said that, but then there are like good reasons to move towards methods which is more technology intensive. At least FWD is one which falls into that and can provide information with respect to the existing health of the pavement in a much better way. So any recommendation which is worked out on the basis of such kind of rational evaluation and rational design will result in very economic recommendation with respect to strengthening the flexible pavements. So with that, Ankit, I would like to close.
Yes, sir. Uh, Sir, I'll just check if there are some questions on the chat box.
Yeah.
So there is a question by D. Hari Krishna.
Yeah.
So he has first appreciated your presentation, and he's asking that, sir, is it possible to go with a CC overlay on an existing flexible payment? And he says, if so, how we find the thickness of CC overlay?
I mean, I say that it is possible. Means there are not too many instances where somebody would go for a CC cement concrete overlay, but then it will depend on determination of K value. If you can determine K value on the basis of that, you can design the thickness of cement concrete overlay. But I have seen normally the situation is contrary. Many airfield pavements which are cement concrete pavements, they are going for bituminous overlays. At least last decade, there are a number of airports, including Bagdogra Airport, and there are lot of like military airports. They have moved from cement concrete overlay to say flexible overlays, bituminous overlays.
Okay. Sir, in the chat box, there are no further questions. I would request the participants, if they have any question, they can type in the chat box or can just raise their hand. We will unmute you. We're waiting for another 30-40 seconds.
Yeah. Other than question, also, if anybody has exposure to, say, design of overlays or Benkelman beam deflection, if they can share their experiences, so that will be really good. And in terms of research, before like somebody types, I can tell that there have been a lot of studies. When I say that for the design of overlays, one is the Benkelman beam deflection. Otherwise, you also use falling weight deflectometer. And there are two variants. One is the lightweight falling weight deflectometer, which is portable, and the other one is the vehicle mounted. So it is possible to understand the correlations between these two. Currently at IIT Roorkee, we have a FWD And Mr. Ashish Walia, he's the student who is doing thesis on this and trying to understand the relationships between these Benkelman beam and FWD values. Especially faculty candidates, those who are present, they can try to understand that like if different methods are available for overlay design, means is it possible to develop some sort of correlation between whatever output you are getting out of these different techniques.
Thank you, sir. I think I'm still just checking out the chat box if there are any more queries, and if anybody would like to share their experience, as sir has just mentioned, you're most welcome for that. So maybe we can wait for just 30-40 seconds for them.
No issue.
Yeah. So I think usually it happens in post-lunch session, once they have just had their good lunch and maybe,
And in the day already they had 2 lectures in the morning.
Yes, sir.
I met Professor Ranjan. He said he has delivered the lecture.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Yeah. So every day they have to attend 3 lectures, and today is their 3rd day.
Today is the 3rd day. Right, sir. However, sir, we will also be covering the lecture on FWD, which will be given by
Professor Sudhakar Reddy.
Sir, actually, Professor Sudhakar Reddy could just confirm in the last minute, so we had to replace it by Dr. Tanuj Chopra now.
Okay.
So he wanted to deliver one. So
no, it's a good idea at least to understand say different possible methods of payment evaluation and overlay design. But yes, largely, although like FWD, it is slowly coming up, but still we see that for many urban roads, people estimate all the overlay requirement by Benkelman beam only.
Okay.
So I think that will be really good to, get exposure to FWD so they can make a comparison like how the FWD is different from the Benkelman beam.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
So I think the questions are not there. Maybe we'll not put you waiting for an. I understand that, sir. You have to also leave before 4 o'clock.
Actually, I have another meeting at 4. Need to make some preparation, so that's why I thought that I can make the session little short. That's it.
So, sir, if there are no questions, sir, if you allow, should we then go ahead with closing this session, sir?
Yeah, we can close.
Okay, sir. So my heartfelt thanks to you, sir. And of course, despite of your very, very busy schedule, which I know, because to the audience, I did my PhD with sir only. So I completely understand that how difficult it is to get time when he's handling a position of Deputy Director at IIT Roorkee. Thank you, sir, for gracing this FTP by sharing your knowledge with all the participants across India. Once again, thank you, sir. And of course, sir, we will wait for your other similar talks, lecture near future at IIT Jammu. Sir, your constant support to this new budding IIT will always be required, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. And we'll meet especially the doctoral candidates on 11th of February.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I can sign out?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you,
okay. Thanks, Ankit.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, so for the participants, by this we close the 3rd day of our FTP. The video link will be shared to you for all the videos by today. Let me confirm with my team. Yeah, so the video link will be shared with you by today itself. We have created a specific channel on YouTube, and we'll be sharing the link with you. So these videos may help you to go through quickly through the videos to attempt your one very small objective kind of exam that will be happening on the last day. So don't worry, but it will not be a very, very difficult kind of exam, but it will be everything that is just based on the 5-day FDP, nothing else. So let me quickly brief you as to what are we planning to and what all lectures are planned for tomorrow's FDP day. The first lecture is the Payment Management Systems by Dr. Ankit Gupta. Then we'll be having a next lecture by Guideline for Structure and Strengthening of Existing payments by using falling with deflectometer technique, and Dr. Tanuj Chopra will be talking about that in detail. And of course, Dr. Tanuj is having a lot of practical experience, so that will be it will be really great to listen to him. Then the next talk after that will be on RAP, which is Reclaimed Asphalt Payment, and will be given as a sustainable material, and will be delivered by Dr. Maninder Singh. So I think this will be what will be happening in the 4th day. And as I mentioned, while introducing the FDP on the very first day, now it is, we have kept a lecture on, it's not a lecture, it's like a, kind of talk which will be given by Mr. Varun Upadhyay from Art of Living. And when I was to final this talk, and it was mandatory as a part of AICT program that we have to keep one talk on Art of Living, I thought that I'll keep this talk a little interesting one. So the topic that I have selected for this talk is productivity enhancement, because I see, maximum of the participants here are either masters, PhDs, or different faculties. And when I say faculties, me as faculty at ITB, I really struggle with the burden of teaching, the burden of research. And sometimes if you're handling a associate dean position, you have to be involved in multiple activities, and multitasking you have to do. So how do we basically, with all these work, enhance our productivity? Because in the end of the day, we should feel that, okay, we have done this sufficient amount of work. So I thought this lecture may look into that direction. And of course, I'm very sure that Mr. Varun will handle that this particular talk on the 5th day. So this will also, lighter the tone. With this, thank you, and let's end this day, and hoping that all of you will join tomorrow at 9:50. Okay, so I request everyone to be well in time, at least 10 minutes before the speaker joins. So just to, a sort of respect to the speaker. Thank you all once again.